Waking at the village office a peaceful life of Sebas and simplicity, and day in the village, Cezanne rose slowly over the rice fields, painting the village in soft golden light. Roosters crowed in the distance, children left under way to school, and the scent of morning coffee drifted from open windows. In the center of this peaceful village stood a modest building with a green rooftop and clean white walls. The village office a place not just for administration, but for connection, community, and care. Inside, desks were lined up neatly, files were stacked in wooden cabinets, and the national flag floated gently in front of the entrance. This was where Mr. Gerif, the village secretary, spent most of his days. Working quietly yet meaningfully for the people of his community. Starting the workday at exactly las 7:30 am, Mr. Gerif arrived at the office. Dressed in his khaki uniform and black shoes, he greeted the Stephen locals. WHO had already started together. "Good morning, Pakerif," said Iburina. She clicked as she opened the window to let in the fresh air. "We have a few residents waiting to handle paperwork." Mr. Gerif smiled warmly. "Let us help them as best we can today." He placed his bag down, turned on the office fan, and opened the logbook to review the schedule. Daily duties and village matters. Working in a village office wasn't always easy, but it was deeply human. Every day brought something different, from issuing certificates and updating family records to organizing meetings with the head of the village Kepalades and preparing proposals for development projects. Some mornings were busy with people needing letters of recommendation, land certificate processing, or ID card assistance. Others were quieter, spent on typing reports, managing village budget plans, or coordinating events like village clean-ups or health checks. Mr. Gerif's desk was filled with notes, stamps, old typewriters, and stacks of files tied with red ribbon. Despite the humble surroundings, the work had meaning. 7 people at las 9 am. A grandmother entered the office with her grandson. "Pac, I need help renewing my KTP identity card," she said softly, holding a folder wrapped in plastic. Mr. Gerif stood up with a smile, offered her a chair, and gently guided her through the process. He even made sure her grandson got a glass of water while they waited. These small acts of kindness were never written in reports, but they were a soul of the job. In the city, people work with machines, Mr. Gerif once said, but here we work with hearts, meetings, and coordination. After helping the villages, Mr. Gerif joined the coordination meeting with the Kepalades and several community leaders. They discussed road repair for the main street, budget for new drainage near the market, a youth training program in agriculture, the upcoming Independence Day celebration. Everyone spoke with mutual respect, sharing ideas, challenges, and lefty. It was governance at its most local, honest, direct, and rooted in daily life. Lunch and the trees at noon. Mr. Gerif stepped outside to enjoy lunch under a large mango tree beside the office. With a plate of warm rice, fried tempeh, and sambal, he sat with two staff members, talking about life, family, and old memories. The wine rustled the leaves above, chickens wandered nearby. Motorcycles passed slowly on the road. There were no tall buildings here, no elevators, no rushing crowds, but there was peace. Afternoon paperwork and planning back inside. The afternoon was quiet. Mr. Gerif typed letters and his aging desktop computer, filed documents, and updated the village's digital data. Though the internet was slow, they made it work. Sometimes villagers came just to talk, to ask advice about family issues, or to report something strange in the neighborhood. To work in the village office was to be part government work, part listener, part friend. Evening reflection as the clock neared las 4 p.m. The staff began tidying up. The day was done. Mr. Gerif locked the file cabinets, signed the attendance log, and took one last look around the office. The floor was wet, the files were in place, and the village outside was calm. He stepped outside, watching the sunset behind the hills. The sky turned orange and purple, and the soft sound of gamelan music drifted from a house nearby. It may not wear a sotentai, he thought, but here it make a difference. Useful vocabulary phrases with the PHRS meaning. Context villaje office kantor desa community service pelayanan mas yarakatis we certificates mengeluar kansea 3000 ogwo o buku katatan aryan kantori de card KTP. Karto tanda pendudup clerk pegawai administrasi proposal for development usulampen banguna mudhead plan renkana angara numble surroundings linkungan sederana partlisane, park free entidad caña pegawai. Tapi juga pendengardan teman themes of the story meaningful work in small communities, helping others through simple. Kain sebas the beauty of rural life and teamwork, the power of connection and listening quiet pride in doing a humble job well. Would you like to turn this into a dialogue or conversation between villages and the staff? Use this story as a reading comprehension practice. Translate this into basa in the Niger with sidel the English, or explore a day in the life of another village weke. Just let me know. Tanya ChatGPT anda bilan, Levi, banyak ChatGPT bilan, tentu. Berikutlan hutan serita bekerjadi kentedesa, dalam bahasa Inggris jan Levi panjandan lengkap, melanjut kandari sebelumnya dengan Levi banyak detail, suasana. Interaksi dengan warga, dan perenungan tentan. Arti pekerjaan di desa. Life at the village office, adipe Jenny se eften un continuous after lunch, set atmosphere in the village office, slowed down a bit. Cezanne light grew warmer. Casting golden shadows through the windows. Outside, cicadas buzzed. In the trees, and the smell of burning wood drifted from nearby kitchens preparing for the evening meal. Inside the office, Mr. Erif sat at his desk, reviewing the minutes from the last village meeting. He carefully underlined important points. Suggestions from local farmers, complaints about irrigation, and the request for a new village signboard. Just then, the door creaked open. Permisi, Pac, a young man in his 20s, stood at the door, holding a folder. You want to register a small business? Can you help me? Of course, Mr. Erif said kindly. Come in. Let us take a look. Helping the locals, one by one of the most fulfilling parts of working at the village office was guiding villagers through processes that seemed confusing or intimidating. Whether it was a young entrepreneur starting a new food stall, a farmer applying for equipment subsidies, or a widow needing inheritance documents which request method. Sometimes the villagers came nervous or unsure, especially older residents. WHO weren't comfortable with forms and paperwork. Mr. Erif always made time for them. He explained gently. He listened with patience. He walked them through each step, sometimes even filling the forms. For them, this is not just about bureaucracy. He once told his co-worker Ina. It is about making people feel seen, respected, and supported. Administrative work behind the scenes, Vilas 2 p.m. The front area was quiet again, and Mr. Erif turned his attention to the administrative side of his work. He updated spreadsheets, recorded outgoing letters in the registry book, and organized receipts from last month's expenses. There were sticky banners filled with old records, birth certificates from decades ago, marriage letters, village regulations, land maps. Mr. Erif sometimes smiled when he came across familiar names. People he had known since they were children. A small photo on his desk showed his first day on the job over 12 years ago. He looked younger, nervous, but proud. And now, years later, a new face in the village. I had seen babies grow into teenagers, young couples become parents. En el despacho under wisdom, working with a small team se timet Tedesa was small, just 5 staff in total. Pakidi, the head of the office, wise, and Cami Burina, the administrative clerk, organized and sharp Pac Dimas, the field coordinator, WHO often handled infrastructure task study. Allá en Interlearning Public Sebas and Mr. Erif, C. Village Secretary WHO tied everything together, they worked like a family in sharing snacks, celebrating birthdays with simple cakes. Covering for each other when someone needed to go to the doctor or pick up a child. There was no hierarchy of power, only teamwork, respect, and a shared love for their village. Planning for the future later in the afternoon. Mr. Erif sat with Pakidi and Rina to discuss the next few months. We need to prepare a proposal for the village hall renovation, Rina said, pointing to that of plans. And don't forget the youth center request from last week. Edit Mr. Erif. We could get funding from the district if we submit by next month. They spread out maps, printed forms, and budget drafts. The work required precision, but it was also creative. They were imagining what the village could become: safer roads, a cleaner river, more activities for the children, digital literacy programs. The vision wasn't grand or flashy, but it was real. It would change lives. Evening closes in, Vilas 4:30 p.m. Cezanne began to dip behind the hills. The shadows in the office stretched longer. And the sound of prayer calls echoed softly from the mask nearby. Mr. Erif closed the file cabinet gently and looked around. The office smelled faintly of old paper and floor cleaner. The fence spun slowly overhead. Outside, smoke rose from kitchens as families prepared dinner. Children rode their bikes on the quiet streets. The work